So this is the director of Nioh, Fumihiko Yasuda, and he's going to be demoing Nioh. And I'm Brianna Forster from Team Ninja, and I'll be interpreting. So we've added tutorial missions since the alpha demo. So this is the stage that we were demoing outside. The stage is called the Zaifu. It's a Japanese shrine that's in the middle of a storm. This game takes place in feudal Japan, and it's based on a historical figure called William Adams, who is an English sailor who arrived in Japan and actually became a samurai, which was really rare in that period. And we've added our own elements of yokai and Japanese folklore. So as William continues on his journey to become a samurai, he fights both human enemies and yokai. So at shrines, they function first and foremost as a save point, but it also has other functions. You can fully heal, you can level up using your experience points that you gained by defeating enemies. When you level up, you can receive skill points, and you can spend those to get new skills for your weapons. So he just spent his skill points on Iaido, which is a sword skill. There it is. So these are like ruins of an old shrine. Basically, you fight one-on-one against enemies. We've added firearms since the alpha. So you can switch between melee weapons and, for example, bows and guns. The game takes place in 1600, which is around the time when William Adams arrived in Japan, and all of the weapons are weapons that would have been around at that time. So the musket that you just saw is one that arrived in Japan from Europe about 20 years prior to William Adams' arrival. So around here, the enemies are pretty tough. So basically the two different types would be human enemies and also yokai, which are, as you can see here, they're based on Shintoism and Japanese folklore, and they're spirits that reside in everyday things. So they can be harmless, friendly spirits, or the ones you'll be fighting against obviously are malicious, almost like ghosts or monsters. So we've aimed for a really realistic style with this game. So you have skills like guarding and different stances, high, medium, and low for the sword. So for example, this is a really slow enemy that hits really hard. So for this enemy, he'd recommend using the low stance, which does less damage, but is faster and a little more nimble. So he likes to use low stance with the katanas while dodging and rolling. Does a little damage at a time and pulls back. This enemy's a little faster, so he wants to use the high stance to get more damage with each hit. So one hit will have a lot more impact, even though it's a bit slower. There's a lot of different kinds of environments. There's complex underground networks like this stage, and there are also wide open spaces in other stages. So this stage is feudal Japan in the Warring States period. So there'll be a lot of different scenery that you might see at this time. There's underground shrines like this, and there's also sakura, cherry blossom stages. So this technique's called Guardian Spirit. Gives you a boost for a limited period of time, and you can switch those out at the shrine, which Guardian Spirit is active, and he used that against the enemy just now, who is pretty big and hard to take down. The Guardian Spirits are all based on animals, and they each have their own element associated with them. So the one we saw just now was a earth element, and there's also a fire element, and so on. So dual wielding brings its own set of techniques that you can use. Wielding one katana is going to give you more impact per hit, but dual wielding is going to give you more speed and flexibility. Bombs are items that you pick and throw up, and there are also shurikens. There's an item where you can enchant your katana. So there's a trap in this room, so you have to avoid it while defeating the enemy. But you can also use it against him. So those flares that you saw on the ground that's a technique that were supposedly actually used by Ninja, and it'll slow him down. By taking down a strong enemy, you can get better weapons and better armor and get stronger yourself. And that's also one customization element of this game. There are different weapons like spears that you can also equip. There are weapons that you get from defeating enemies, and there are also weapons that you get, for example, from a chest. So by touching the torch just now, he made the door glow, and there are different elements throughout the stages like that where you have to kind of explore to figure things out. It's coming out in late 2016 on PS4.